from the betting capital of the world. Giving raw and real breakdowns of mixed martial arts and recapping UFC events like no one else, with producer Martin on the ones and twos and combat sports betting expert Effie. You're listening to Any Action Sportscast. Any Action Sportscast. So put your headphones on and let's take this podcast to the next level.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Effie with Any Action Sportscast. We are back for UFC 78, Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman. Now, this is going to be a super fun episode. I'm super excited to talk about the fights, considering I will be at the fights this Saturday. I'll be in the 6th row. I'll be going crazy, yelling at Saldaña. I can't wait to be at the fights. I can't wait to talk about these fights. But before we get into this card, I gotta go over our worst night in our show's history. Guys, at UFC San Diego, we lost 8.16 units. You heard that right, guys. 8.16 units lost on 3 bets, guys. On 3 bets alone, we lost that many units. We gotta, recollect, regroup here, and it just wasn't my style. I just got out of whack. Let's go over our bets right here. We had a 2-leg parlay, minus 113. 2.16 units on Chito Vera minus 240 and Bruno Silva minus 300. Bruno Silva busted this parlay by not being able to strike with Gerald Mersard. I can't believe it. He got outstruck by GM3, where the last fight against Pereira, he was in there for 3 whole rounds. This is unreal. I can't believe this fight. A lot of things happened last weekend where it was almost the exact opposite of what should have happened. So yeah, Bruno Silva gets outstruck by Gerald Mersard, gets finished, submitted in round 3, and busts that parlay, which would have hit because Chito Vera won. After that, we had a 3-leg parlay, plus 128, 1 unit, and those fighters were Martin Buday at minus 300, Lupe Godinez at minus 350, and Bruno Silva again at minus 300. Now, Buday won, but he should have lost. And then Lupe Godinez, guys, what are we doing, Lupe? This is so frustrating to watch. To watch a fighter, exert low fight IQ and not stick to an obvious game plan, guys. Before this fight against Angela Hill that she lost, Lupe Godinez, she averaged 10 takedown attempts per UFC fight that she's had. Guys, she saw a total of 2 takedowns against Angela Hill. The most bizarre performance to watch live. I just was so frustrated, couldn't believe it. Definitely lost that parlay. And dude, it's not like my style. I very rarely have so much exposure on parlays like this. And man, I got caught when I went for it. And we went over 200 parlays, but the big hit on the night, guys, was we lost our lock of the night play. 5 units on Ode Osborne minus 250. Now, guys, I didn't get to watch this fight live because I was at work, and it just sucked because I knew the fight was happening, so I was on my phone checking updates, and then I had to obviously go to work, and I couldn't really see the fight live. And then half an hour goes by, and do have time to look at my phone, and I see the highlight, I see the flying knee, and I just couldn't believe it, man. He threw the flying knee from such far out, terrible IQ, man, and it really burned us, man. Bizarre night of fights. I think at one point the underdogs were just rolling through the card. Shout out to Chito Vera and Dominic Cruz. Cruz looked well in that beginning of that fight, but man, I should have took Chito Vera via knockout or inside the distance. That was a play. Shout out to anyone out there that took that. But with that, guys, put that in the past. We gotta go onward and go on to UFC 278, Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman. This is gonna be a fun card. Like I said, I will be at the card, so I'm actually thinking about giving a best bet for each fight, considering I want to bet on every fight. I want to have action on every single fight, and I don't know how much I'll be betting, but yeah, guys. So with that, let's get right into the episode. UFC 278 will be headlined by Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards. Usman, the champ, comes in at 20-1 as a minus 400 favorite, whereas Leon Edwards comes in at 19-3, the challenger, at plus 310. Now, I'll be honest, guys, I'm going out on a limb, and I'm picking Leon Edwards to upset Kamaru Usman. Now, don't get me wrong, I respect Usman as a champion, man. He's one of the best fighters we have seen, especially in that welterweight division. He's approaching welterweight GOAT status here soon. If he wins, he will have claimed his 6th straight title defense for that division. And also, if he wins, he will tie Anderson Silva for 16 straight consecutive wins, a record 16-0 in the UFC. The guy hasn't lost in almost a decade, and he's just almost like the perfect fighter, guys. Fight IQ, grappling, wrestling, cardio, chin. Obviously, the striking's come around. He's pretty hard to beat, guys. But I'm making the case for Leon Edwards because he's just been waiting for this fight for the longest time. All roads have led to this fight. Obviously, they fought before. It's a rematch. Now, when I was watching that fight back, in the first couple of minutes, man, I thought Leon looked good. It wasn't until Usman was able to get Leon up against the cage and down over and over again that he really put it on him and he really zapped Leon bad. But both guys have gotten better since that fight. That fight, in my opinion, is kind of a weird fight to use as a sense of what's going to go on in this fight, because both guys got extremely better. Kamaru, I mean, the striking in that fight compared to what he's doing now is way different, man. Kamaru's way more dangerous on the feet, and vice versa. Leon's way better at defensive grappling, and if anything, he's learned how to be offensive with his wrestling. If you look at his resume, guys, I know it's not the strongest, path to the title. Everyone wants to talk about how he got clipped by Nate Diaz in the 5th round, but we're just going to ignore how he dog-walked him for 4 rounds the whole fight, pretty much, up until then. I mean, it's hard to not obviously get clipped like that and to defend that when you have someone like Kamaru Usman who has that right hand and just overall striking that is really, really improved. But I think that Leon's going to give him a tough fight, guys. I don't expect Kamaru just to come here and take him down over and over again and just rinse and repeat 5 rounds, 5-0. No, I think that Leon's going to put up a test, man. I think that if the takedowns aren't there later in the fight, it could get interesting, guys. In a 25-minute striking fight, I do favor Leon. It's funny because I do think that Kamaru has more power, but Leon's faster. He will have a speed advantage, in my opinion. And I got to bring up Kamaru's knees and his hand injury. He had just defended against Colby and immediately got hand surgery. And he's been out since then. And I believe that I was actually surprised that I'm pretty sure he was in rehab when this fight got announced. His hand was in a cast, and he was talking about, I'll be ready by December, and then they gave him this fight. I was like, wow, that's pretty weird. But whereas Leon, he's been on a longer wait, actually, than Usman. Usman fought more recently than Leon did. But, with that Nate Diaz fight, before that, the Bilal Muhammad eye poke fight, and, he has good wins over people like Luque, RDA, Cerrone, like, Gunnar Nelson, he's beating the guys you put in front of him, man. I can't really hold a guy against that. Or anything against him, So yeah, man, my pick's going to be Leon Edwards via decision. And that's one thing I want to talk about as well. Leon via decision as plus 700 right now at BetMGM. That's crazy to me, man. I don't think he's going to finish Usman. And I don't think that Usman's going to finish Leon either. If he does, in my opinion, it's going to be late. So if you like Usman, look at that decision prop, because I just saw before I recorded this, Usman via decision is minus 120. And that's pretty crazy, man. Minus 400 all the way down to minus 120. Yeah, you're risking him knocking out Leon or submitting him, but I think Leon's pretty durable, man. Plus, I think he's going to win the fight. So give me a decision either way. I love the over. I'm sure it's going to be at 4.5. Haven't checked. But yeah, my pick is going to be Leon decision and new. And in the co-main event, we have Paulo Costa taking on Luke Rockhold. Paulo Costa comes in as a favorite, 13-2 at minus 330. And Luke Rockhold, the underdog, at 16-5, coming in at plus 260. Will I be honest straight up with you guys? I'm really surprised at this fight getting booked. It doesn't make much sense either way. On one hand, you have Paulo Costa, who just missed weight against Marvin Tory really bad, and gets placed on a pay-per-view co-main event here versus an opponent who he should likely get a win against very easily. And then on the other hand, you have Luke Rockhold, who's 37 years old, coming back after 3 years, hasn't fought since getting knocked out by Jan Blachowicz 3 years ago, getting a knockout artist in Paulo Costa on a co-main event slot. Like, what's going on? Rockhold's talking about if he wins, he's going to get a title shot. In his opinion, that's what he wants. And I'm just like, whoa, what are you talking about here? Slow down. I'm real surprised at this fight. I'm confused at the matchmaking, but call me a casual, call me whatever. I got Costa via KO. I love that bet. I love that prop. I saw just before I started recording that it dropped at minus 160 at BetMGM, and I'm definitely going to be placing that bet because, first of all, Luke Rockhold is chinny. I'm not breaking any news. Luke Rockhold has a glass chin. He just gets knocked out way too frequently now, and he's super inactive. Like, what are we talking about here, you guys? He hasn't fought in 3 years, and he's fighting a guy that's very explosive, very much so a striker. And, man, he's going to be 6 years younger than Luke Rockhold. Paulo Costa, is coming off getting knocked out by Izzy, and after that losing to Vittori, where he didn't look good at all. But, dude, in my opinion, I think that Costa could lose every single second of this fight and then still knock out Rockhold in the last second of the fight. That's how much confidence I had that he's going to knock out Luke Rockhold. I mean, I will say this. Let's make a case for Luke Rockhold. Okay, one big thing that I do like is that he went to Perillo. Jason Perillo over here at Ruka Sport over there in California. He just got that big win with Chito Vera cornering him. And he's actually the coach that cornered Bisping against Rockhold. So he went to the coach of the guy that is pretty much his arch rival, the guy that knocked him out, took his belt. And so, that's good. That's he obviously knows that he needs to get better at certain areas, especially striking defense. And so, I don't know. Maybe he will look better, but I mean, even if he does, I expect that window to be maybe 1 round, 7.5 minutes, if that. And then I really expect him to fade here. Can he clip Costa, knock him out? Yeah, he has legit left kicks, or left high kicks, left kicks to the body. Yeah, good kicks in general. Question mark kicks are really good. Obviously, his wrestling's really good. Grappling's good. But guys, durability is not there. Fight IQ is there. But there's too many question marks, too many red flags. I believe Costa opened around -260, got ballooned all the way to where he is now. And I understand why, guys. I think a lot of people are expecting the Rockhold to get finished. Fight doesn't go the distance, under 2.5 rounds. 1.5 is going to be iffy because Costa isn't really that type of guy to come out and just go guns blazing. He does like to explode, but he's got to be smart with it because Luke's not. Yeah, I mean, he still is Luke Rockhold. He still can strike, but he's not like some scrub. So I'm interested to see how Luke approaches this fight. Super dangerous opponent in Costa. In every interview I watched, Rockhold says that he knows Costa wants to go forward. And he seems to be in a good mental spot, guys. Not for nothing, he did deal with a lot of like big, heavy stuff, life drama, you could say, outside the octagon. Rockhold did. So he does seem to, have found himself here and given everything he has in this camp. But I don't think it's going to be enough. And last thing I will say on this fight is Costa looks like he's in the best shape of his life. It's funny, him and Patty the Batty have been going back and forth on weight cutting. But dude, he looks legit. I think on Embedded today, he's talked about how it's the lightest he's ever came into fight week. So I just hope that durability and explosiveness is still there because he's going to need it against Rockhold. But give me the 31-year-old Brazilian knockout artist, even though he's not really a knockout artist, power puncher, I should say, over the 37-year-old aging fighter who's chinny and coming back after a 3-year layoff. So give me Paulo Costa via knockout. And after that, we have a sick bantamweight fight that I'm super excited to watch live. We're talking about José Aldo versus Merab Dvalishvili. Now, Merab comes in at 14-4, the favorite at -125, and José Aldo, the legend, at 31-7, the underdog, +105. Now, I personally think that Aldo will win this fight, but I'm waiting to bet on him because I want that line to climb. I think that he's going to be able to knock out Merab or win a decision here. Now, guys, Merab is the type of fighter that I usually love to bet on. For one, he has that funny hat, and that's the rule we have on our show. If anyone rocks a funny hat, den animal, or something like that on their head, bet on them. Especially at -125, are you serious? But this is pretty much a stylistic matchup where we all know Merab, dude. He's the machine for a reason. They call him the machine for a reason. This guy spams takedowns over and over and over again. This guy's gas tank is unreal, dude. Probably, in my opinion, has the most relentless, like, biggest gas tank in the UFC. But we're all gonna fight at Salt Lake City in altitude, and José Aldo has never had to fight someone in this particular, I guess you could say, one-dimensional area of grappling like this, like where someone's just gonna get takedown over and over again. On the feet, I mean, it's not even close. José Aldo is way better than Merab, obviously, when we're talking about José Aldo, for Christ's sake. But at bantamweight especially, he has never had to fight anyone that's anywhere close to the same skill set as Merab. It's actually funny, José Aldo came down in weight, obviously, featherweight. Legend came down in bantamweight, and when 0-1 lost to Marlon Moraes, who almost knocked out Merab in the last fight that Merab had, and he actually loses and gets a title shot with Peter Yan. He goes 0-1 in division, gets a title shot, he ends up getting finished by Peter Yan. But yeah, so like he actually loses those 2 fights, goes on to win 3 in a row, beats Marlon Vera, gets a couple of good wins. In my opinion, the Rob Font fight, I remember watching that fight live and thinking, oh man, if Rob Font had any sort of takedown ability, this would be like a real bad night for for Aldo. But obviously, he's more of a striker, boxer type guy. But guys, this comes down to, I'm not breaking news here, not giving a hot take. Can Rob get Jose down, and can he hold him down? And I think that he's going to struggle. Even if he does get him down, like, you bet money, yeah, he will take Jose Aldo down. But is he going to be able to control him there, and is he going to do it over and over again? In a 5-round fight, I would definitely favor Merab. But in a 3-round fight, man, I do like Jose Aldo here. He's one of the greatest takedown defensive, artists you could say we've ever seen. But he's never had to prove it in bantamweight. So I'm interested to see how he's going to hold up. But I trust him, man. Especially at plus money. I feel like whoever wins this fight, you're going to be looking like, damn, that was a good bet. I should have laid more. Because if Merab wins, it's probably going to be a decision, dominant decision. Whereas Aldo, dude, can clip Merab. It was so weird watching Merab fight Marlon the way he did in the beginning of that fight. He just comes in striking a little reckless, leaving his head out, and almost gets knocked out. And another ref might have called that fight, comes back and finishes Marlon himself. So he's got that dog in him. And it sucks betting against guys like that because these Eastern European guys, they got that dog in them, man. They're not going to quit on you. They're going to fight for your money for sure. But I can't wait to watch this fight live. I'm going to be rooting for Jose Aldo, the legend, and I'm definitely going to be betting on him. So I'm going to be interested to see this line, and I expect some Jose Aldo money to come in. So as soon as that line starts to flip the wrong way in the favor of Aldo, I'm going to jump on it. So for right now, plus 105, I'm okay with that. If it stays right there, I'll lay that. So give me Jose Aldo via decision. Up next, we have a heavyweight fight between Alexandr Romanov and Marcin Tybura. Romanov comes in at undefeated 16-0 as the massive favorite at -490, guys. Whereas Marcin Tybura, the underdog, 22-7 at plus 350. This line makes absolutely zero sense to me. I don't understand this, and I don't understand why so much money is coming in on Romanov. Guys, trust me, I like Romanov. I think he's gonna win this fight. Guys, hand up, I parlayed Romanov at minus 350. But it doesn't mean that I can't question this line or this line movement. Guys, Tybura is not a bum. In the last 2 fights that Romanov has looked like $1 million in, he's fought Chase Sherman and Jared Vanderaa, 2 of the worst heavyweights on the UFC roster, bar none, without a doubt. Especially Chase Sherman, guys. Quick story about the Chase Sherman fight. So Romanov's opponents kept pulling out or getting injured or just having bad luck covered or whatever. He kept getting his fights canceled, and on fight week, they re-signed Chase Sherman. Chase Sherman was cut because he lost so much in the UFC, kept getting knocked out. They cut him, they re-signed him to a 4-fight deal, and pretty much sacrificed him to Romanov. I will never forget, Romanov to finish the fight in round 1 was minus 500 against Chase Sherman, and even that was cheap because, guys, he treated him like a rag doll and finished him easy. Before that, Jared Vanderaa as well. But guys, if you look at Romanov's UFC career, the one time he's faced a grappler that's anywhere near his same level against Juan Espinino, he almost lost. He won via technical decision because he took that nut shot. But man, that was close. He was gassing bad in that 3rd round, which brings me to my next point. And while he did gas bad in that 3rd round against Espino, he did lose a ton of weight since that fight. His physique has totally changed. In that fight against Chase Sherman, dude, he looked insanely ripped. So I was happy to see that him, shed those pounds and take his career a little bit serious. It's always a good sign when you see a fighter like that, make those changes. And I will say he did finish up his camp at Tiger Muay Thai. I love betting on guys from that camp, and it's good sign because in my opinion he is a grappler, type of fighter that wants to get you in the clinch, take you down, judo throw you, trip you on the cage, and to know that he's working on his striking, that makes me feel a little bit better. But I do think that Marcin Tybura is getting way overlooked in this fight. The line is insane. Actually, honestly, guys, I'll be honest, it makes me think that someone knows that he's injured or something because there's just no logical sense that line should be that wide. If Romanov struggles to get this fight down, which I do think he will struggle to, and I do think he will get this fight down at times, but it won't be as easy as his recent fights, then I think that Tybura will be live to make it a dogfight on the feet. Even on the feet, I don't think that Romanov's going to come in looking like Floyd Mayweather or something against Tybura. So, I mean, guys, it's so bizarre to me that this line is that wide. I do like Romanov, like I said. I probably did at minus 350. But, man, a Marcin Tybura round 3 finish after the suspect gas tank of Romanov gets pushed, especially at the altitude in Salt Lake. I mean, it might be worth a stab there. Yeah, man. It's at these odds, I would not play Romanov. But at 350, I felt like it was fair. But I'm getting a little bit of better's remorse on that parlay. But, yeah, man. Give me Romanov via decision, but man, at those odds, I do not feel good about it. Regardless of the odds, I do think that he wins this fight, and I do think he stays undefeated, but it's going to be a tough test for sure. So open the pay-per-view card at UFC 278. We have a light heavyweight fight between Tyson Pedro and Harry Hunsucker. You heard that right, guys. Harry Hunsucker will be on a UFC pay-per-view card in the year 2022. What are we doing, guys? How did we get here? What is going on? Harry Hunsucker is 7-5, has never seen the second round, has been knocked down 5 times. In his 3 UFC level fights, he's been knocked out every single time in the first round. Jared Vanderaa, not a very good fighter, knocked him out in the first round in the Contender Series. Tai Tuivasa, actually a pretty good fighter, no shame in that loss, got knocked out in the first round. And Justin Tafa, not very good, or decent fighter, got knocked out in the first round. And for some reason, they're giving him Tyson Pedro on the UFC 278 pay-per-view card. I was blown away by this. I could not believe this. Harry Hunsucker's on a pay-per-view card. Guys, what is going on? Now, I gotta say, Tyson Pedro is minus 800 and Harry Hunsucker is plus 550. And there's a reason, guys. Everyone knows Tyson Pedro is probably gonna knock him out. But there's no way you could bet that. There's no way you could put that on a parlay, and there's no way that you could bet that straight up because this is UFC, this is MMA, this is sports betting, guys. Variance happens. I mean, guys, look at the Curtis Blades Tom Aspinall fight. Look at the Yair Rodriguez Brian Ortega fight. Those fights ended within a minute or 2 minutes, and it's has not showing on who was a better fighter, guys. Injuries, flukes happen. To lay that kind of price, minus 800 on a light heavyweight fight on a guy, Tyson Pedro, who has 1 win in the last, I think, 3 years, took that long break, and came back and got Ike Villanueva. No way. This feels like a setup fight. The UFC is doing Hunsucker bad. They want him to get knocked out to open the pay-per-view card, and to be an exciting way to open the card. But I will say this, he is dropping from heavyweight, Hunsucker, to light heavyweight. So I will say, we haven't seen him fight at 205. He probably is more of a natural light heavyweight. I mean, this guy's going to either get knocked out or get a knockout, but no way can I even touch this fight from a betting angle. This might be the one fight that I don't bet on, because I do want to bet on every single fight, because I will be at the fights. But man, Tyson Pedro will be a knockout. I guess it's probably going to be minus like 250, watch. But yeah, man, under 2.5 rounds. But I'll be happy if Chase Sherman, or not Chase Sherman, that's funny, I'm getting mixed up with another trash can. If Harry Hunsucker can pull this off. So yeah, give me Tyson Pedro via knockout. With that, guys, it's time to start talking about the prelims on this card. And for the rest of the episode, I'm gonna be smoking this J and talking to you guys as if I was talking to my buddies that are going to the fights with me and don't know what to expect in these fights. Pretty broad, quick breakdowns on these fights, quick predictions, and a best bet on how I would bet every single fight. Like we said last time, hopefully this doesn't canoe and hold shape. So the first fight we'll talk about is Jared Gordon versus Leonardo Santos. Now Jared Gordon comes in at 18-5. Where Santos is 18-5-1. Now the line currently sits Gordon the favorite at -330 and Santos the underdog plus 260. Now I'll be honest, bro, I'm picking the underdog. Now guys, I also, you know how I was talking about betting on guys with dead animals and funny hats on their head? Another thing I like to do on the show is not bet on old people. Santos is 42 years old. But guys, I do think that he's live, and I think he is alive for a knockout here over Gordon. Obviously, we all know Santos doesn't have very good gas tank at all. And is in Salt Lake City. So I expect him to come out here for the kill early, and if he doesn't get it, to get finished himself. But Gordon is not very much of a finisher in his own right. His last 5 UFC wins are all via decision. His last 4 losses are all via finish. His most recent fight, he got finished by Greg Dawson in April. And so yeah, Jared Gordon's not dumb. He knows he's a very experienced fighter. He knows Santos presents a very dangerous striking threat. He has Santos will have a 7-inch reach advantage over Gordon, a 4-inch height advantage over Gordon, and I think Gordon knows as long as I don't get finished in that first round, the longer the fight goes, the longer it favors Gordon. He's a good has good BJJ. He's a Gracie black belt. Finding out a good camp. He knows what he's doing, man. He's definitely a savvy veteran. Well, I think that Santos is going to catch him here. I've never not been really that impressed by Gordon, really, anywhere throughout his UFC career. So yeah, bro. I'm going with the underdog on this fight. Give me Santos via second round KO. And up next, we have a fight between Sean Woodson and Luis Saldaña. Now, Sean Woodson comes in as a huge favorite at -350, and Saldaña, the underdog, at plus 260. Now, I love Sean Woodson, and I think that he's going to finish Saldaña. That's not a crazy hot take or anything. He's -350. I do think that he just is better everywhere. And the way Saldaña will want to win this fight, it's going to be tough, man. He's going to want to get Woodson down on the ground and submit him probably. Because if you want to stand there for 15 minutes against someone like Woodson, who has a huge 6-inch reach advantage over you, I think a 3 or 4-inch height advantage over you, it's not going to play out good. Woodson's a legit striker, legit boxer. Has better UFC wins in the UFC and has just overall looked better in the UFC than Saldaña. I don't like Saldaña that much. Haven't been impressed. He has a little bit of a gas issue. I mean, even the fighters he's fought in the UFC haven't been that good. And so, yeah, man, I think Woodson's going to be able to keep this fight on the feet, defend those takedowns. Has good takedown defense for sure. And just find that chin. Yeah, so that Salt Lake elevation is going to play a factor, in my opinion, on Saldaña, who has a suspect tank in general going into this fight. Going to be tough to take Woodson down, like I said. So give me Woodson via second or third round knockout. And up next, we have a fight between Miranda Maverick and Shanna Young. Now, Miranda Maverick comes in as a huge favorite at -490 and Shanna Young plus 390. Now, I'll be honest, bro. I think Miranda Maverick is going to finish this fight very quickly within 2 rounds on the ground. I just don't know if it's going to be submission or a ground and pound finish here. Shanna Young, I'll be honest, hasn't impressed me anywhere. She did get a win in her last fight against Gina Mazzano, finisher. It was a pretty good performance, in my opinion, from her. And that was at a syndicate, man. One of my buddies helped her in that camp, and I'm really happy for them to get that win. But this is a tough test. I think this is kind of a setup fight for Maverick here. The UFC is trying to give her a good spot, a good rebound fight to win. Not rebound, but like another fight to win, because she did lose 2 in a row where she should have beat Barber. And against Blanchfield, she got worked. That was a real eye-opener to me. And really everyone, maybe to her especially, comes out and does well against Sabina Mazo, finishes her, and does what she should have done. And I think that she's going to do it again here. She's talking a lot of crap online, and I think that as soon as she's going to win, she's going to finish this fight and call out Molly McCann. Even though Molly McCann already has a fight booked with Erin Blanchfield, the girl that beat her. But yeah, man, give me Maverick. Give me Maverick inside the distance. Fight doesn't go to the distance. Fight doesn't see round 3. I love all those bets. And up next, we have a fight between Amir Albazi and Francisco Figueiredo. Now the line currently sits Albazi, the huge favorite, minus 400, and Figueiredo plus 340. And I gotta agree with the line, guys. I mean, that is wide in my opinion, like a lot. In MMA, I mean, that's wide in general, guys. I hate seeing those type of lines, but I think he's gonna win, man. I think he's gonna win a decision or get a finish here on the ground. Francisco Figueiredo has absolutely no power threat on the feet. He's not gonna knock out Albazi. Albazi does not have to worry about getting knocked out on the feet here. If anything, he has to worry about getting submitted. And I don't think he's the worst grappler here. I think he's a better grappler, better jiu-jitsu artist here, better takedown artist here, gonna win minutes on the ground. And I don't see anywhere in this fight where he's at threat to get finished or lose minutes. Give me Albazi all day. And up next, bro, we have a straight up banger that we're definitely not going to miss. I'm going to watch every single second of this fight, going crazy in the stands. Let's talk about Aoriqileng versus Jay Perrin. In my opinion, this is a sleeper for fight of the night. Now, the line currently sits for Lang minus 160, Perrin, the underdog, plus 130. Now, I get it. Aoriqileng has a ton of pop, a ton of power, good stand-up, and good defensive wrestling. He's not really looking to grapple. He's probably going to be, the better striker in this fight. I don't say probably. In my opinion, he will be the better striker in this fight. Whereas Jay Perrin, he's going to be the better grappler in this fight, better wrestler. He has great takedown entries, great takedowns, but he does struggle to keep guys down. In his 2 UFC level fights, he lost on Contender Series in a really close fight, and then he took a fight on short notice and gave Mario Batista a really close fight. Batista's a really good fighter, and he showed that Perrin has that dog in it, man, for real. They'll fight for your money. That's when I watched tape on him, I came away with like, man, this guy will fight for your money. But I will say, I wish he had a little bit better of a lead jab and a little bit of striking in general, because he's really good at getting a blast double, getting takedowns really quickly on his entries. But those guys, they do tend to get up. But we saw Aoriqileng lose to Cody Durden along the cage, getting controlled on the cage, where Perrin does like to get fights in that realm, along the cage, in the clinch, and then down. He's a good fighter, well-rounded fighter. So I think the dog is live here, man. I'll be betting on Jay Perrin. I don't know how much yet, but I'll be rooting for him as well. Shout out to Syndicate. Shout out to the Shapiro brothers. Shapiro BJJ will be cornering him. And non-biased, fully confident pick. I'm picking Jay Perrin to win this fight. And the very first fight at UFC 278 is going to be between Victor Altamirano and Daniel Da Silva. Now the line currently sits Altamirano the favorite at minus 190 and Da Silva the underdog at plus 150. Now I'll be honest, I like the underdog here again. I'm going to be taking 2 underdogs to start the night, because I do think that Da Silva has a clear grappling advantage on the ground. And he's an all-or-nothing fighter, guys. His average pro fight time, and I believe we have 14 pro fights so far, is 4 minutes, a little bit below 4 minutes. He's either going in there and getting finished, or he's going in there and finishing you. And he's usually going to do it via submission. Whereas Victor has shown he lacks takedown defense and lacks grappling in general. He's a Mexican boxer, pretty young guy, pretty good guy. Both young up-and-coming fighters, but give me the underdog to start the night off. Give me Daniel Da Silva via submission or decision. And now it's time to go over our official bets for UFC 278. We are coming off our worst week in our show's history, so I'm super stoked to bounce back. And I'll be honest, Lord forgive me, because I'm going back to my old ways. Our only bet so far is a parlay, a 2-leg parlay on Paulo Costa and Alexandr Romanov. We got these lines earlier in the week. Paulo Costa minus 285 and Alexandr Romanov minus 350 for minus 136 odds, 1.36 units to win one. Now, I'll be honest, guys, I know that the Romanov fight is going to be really close. I'm not worried at all about the Paulo Costa fight. I'm going to be betting the Paulo Costa knockout prop as soon as it drops. But man, this is going to be a close fight with Tybura, and I'm kind of worried. I'm actually kind of happy, though, that the line's ballooning with Romanov as a favorite, because that brings me an opportunity to hedge on Tybura. If it gets extreme, I'm not afraid to, hedge a little bit on Tybura money line, because that line is just insane to me, man. It's going to be a close fight. If Romanov can get Tybura down, it's going to be a 50-50 striking fight. And in a 50-50 striking fight in the heavyweight division, I mean, bro, it's going to go to the decision. It could go either way. It's going to come down in the clinch along the cage. So, yeah, I'm not afraid to hedge right there on Tybura, as I do think that Paulo Costa is like a lock to knock out Rockhold. At this point, his line is pretty wide, probably not bettable. But yeah, man, I love 285 on Costa parlayed, like I said so far. But yeah, I'll be at the fights, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for commenting. I am looking to bet every single fight, whether it be a sprinkle or like have them on a parlay or whatever. I don't have to bet a lot. It's just fun to have, you know, some action on the fights. You got any action on the fights or what? But yeah, like I said, guys, thanks for watching the videos. It's super dope to start to get a little bit more interaction on Instagram and YouTube for sure. So let me know what you think about our bets, our picks. I know it was a little bit strange on the prelim smoking that J, but I had to get going. But yeah, man, big gulps, huh? See you later.